Welcome back. The weather's getting a little warmer and the dogs are playing outside a little more often, along with the people. Joining us today is Dr. Stacy Wozisek from the Firehouse Animal Health Center in West Austin for today's Ask the Vet segment, where we try to get some of your questions answered about caring for your family pet. And you brought a special guest with you today.
We did.
This is Phoebe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Phoebe, she's a Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Yeah. And a Ridgeback because the line down the middle of their back goes the opposite way, right?
Right. And, you know, ironically, not all Ridgebacks have a ridge.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so you'll have a litter, half will have a ridge and half won't sometimes. So.
Interesting.
But they're still Ridgebacks without the ridge, but you wouldn't be recognized as one, maybe.
Well, you said 7 years old.
Yeah, she's about 7 years old.
But she looks so athletic.
Absolutely. Her owners are very athletic and always taking her out hikes and swims and everything, so they keep her in really good shape and keep her outside on the trails and lots of good exercise.
Which brings us to the topic of today's discussion, and that's, you know, a lot of people are getting their dogs and pets back outside with the warmer weather, and the hike and bike trails, the parks, are a popular place.
Absolutely.
How safe are they? How good are they for the dogs?
And that's a great question. Austin's a great place to be outside with your dog. I think it's one of the most dog-friendly places that you can find. And we have awesome trails, and we have awesome dog parks and doggy play centers and daycares. So there's a lot of options for dogs to be socialized. It's not for every dog. Not every dog enjoys that interaction.
Yeah.
Certainly you don't want to take young puppies to dog parks because there's not fully vaccinated yet, and there's a lot of contagious diseases like parvo that can live in the soil. So you want to make sure that, you know, your dog's been properly vaccinated, old enough to have that social interaction, and that they have the right temperament for it. For those dogs that don't enjoy that kind of interaction, keeping your dog on a nice leash walk is a safer way to go.
Right. And is it good to introduce them on a leash? What age is a good time to introduce them?
Certainly good socialization starting very young. Again, in the proper environment so that you're around other dogs that are fully vaccinated. But yeah, having them socialize at a young age is hopefully will prepare them to be a more social dog and it'll be more fun to have them out and about.
And we're just watching video of some of the dogs that are splashing around in the lakes and in the ponds. And is the water safe for them? A lot of people have that question.
Absolutely. So obviously there's a lot of places to take your dog swimming in Austin, Redbud Trail, Town Lake, all these things. And those are great exercise, especially for older arthritic dogs that can get in the water and get some weight off those old joints. So I would say the things to be concerned about are intestinal parasite, things like Giardia. They can show up and cause some problem diarrhea, and those are things that your veterinarian could pick up on some screenings, and they're treatable. Other things like infectious diseases, leptospirosis can live in our water supplies, so you know, that can be passed from urban wildlife through their urine. So that's a very, you know, potentially serious disease that can be vaccinated for. So that's a discussion you'd have with your veterinarian if your dog was going to be exposed to that. You know, if they're out and about, I recommend vaccinating for things like leptospirosis.
And we know bugs like mosquitoes can carry certain diseases.
Right.
Are there any other bugs out there to be aware of?
Exactly. So, you know, I think you guys have talked about heartworm disease on the show before, and so the mosquitoes are probably more prominent, you know, in those water areas. But you know, fleas and ticks also carry diseases, and so this time of year we're seeing more of that. Fleas can cause, you know, beside the itchy skin and all the allergy issues, and they can also give your dogs tapeworms if the dog ingests the flea. So that's something to be aware of. And ticks carry a lot of tick-borne diseases, things like Rocky Mountain spotted fever and Ehrlichia. So those are other things you want to make sure your dog has a good flea and tick prevention on year-round. And also, I think rattlesnakes, you know, and other snakes in our area with the warmer weather are going to be out. So if you're out hiking and you think your dog's going to have that type of exposure, you need to have a conversation with your veterinarian about potentially vaccinating for rattlesnakes.
Yeah, especially with the dry, rocky conditions that we have. Talk about. Yeah, it's not so much an issue right now because we don't have these high of temperatures, but once we start to get into summer and the triple digits, pets start shedding.
Right.
How do you prevent a pet from shedding?
That's a great question, and I mean, everyone is always asking the cure for shedding. If I had that answer, we could all retire. But certainly dogs shed and cats shed more in the spring and fall and with the longer days. And so things that you can do, if they're not losing hair in patches, and if it's not, you know, if they're not having allergy issues or really itchy skin, it's probably just a normal seasonal shedding. They're probably blowing their undercoat. Routine brushing, there's a lot of good brushes that kind of pull out that undercoat, are great for cats and dogs. Making sure they're on a well-balanced diet. You can add in things like omega fatty acids just to keep the hair and skin coat nice and healthy. But brushing really does. I mean, it's a lot of work for the owner, but if you can do that, you know, even daily, you're gonna prevent a lot of hair to be shed on the floor.
I was going to say, it probably
yeah.
helps the owner and the dog.
Yeah, so in the long run, you'll probably save yourself some vacuuming.
Right. And you might want to check out Dr. Stacy Wozisek's article in Austin Fit Magazine, right?
Right,
On the
next
fittest
month,
dogs.
absolutely. I think next month there's our fittest pets or fittest dogs issue, and so they're doing a really cool layout with all these dogs that have submitted to the magazine, and we have an article coming out about just good preventative medicine and playing outdoors safely with your pets.
Yeah, check it out in the April issue of Austin Fit. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back.